What can you tell us? For one, is it on the increase at the moment? Decreasing? Stable?
One thing just to point out, which I think is really important to start with, is fraud has always been around.
It's almost like the thieves have a pre-made shopping list of products that they're looking for.
When this stuff is stolen, they're going to the destination that they were ordered to do it.
You've got identity theft, which plays into it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some of that. Like, we need to be a little bit more street smart, is the way I'd put it about this thing. Like, everyone's out to get everyone.
How do you prevent fraud?
When fraud happens, it happens when people are in a hurry.
Hey, this weekend on the show, we are talking all things cargo theft and what you can do about it. I'm happy to welcome Liam Richards from Arete Adjusting. Let's get on to the show.
Welcome to the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast.
All right, Liam Richards, welcome to the show. Can you please start off by introducing yourself?
Hey, thank you very much for having me on here. So I'm William Richards, but I go by Liam. And I'm CEO of Arete Adjusting in America. And what we do is we adjust claims on behalf of insurance companies as well as trucking and freight broking companies. And our niche is marine, logistics, and kind of trucking. Anything that moves a cargo from A to B, including actually rail, we're kind of involved in the claim side of it, on the cargo and the liability side as well. Yeah, and we currently do a lot of work for the domestic US market, including some of the Canada stuff, and also have some overseas clients as well who do business over here.
Yeah, in my background, you don't know, I worked for a Canadian insurance company, but we were owned by Great West Casual, which is a larger American outfits. They handled a claim or two. But hey, we're talking about claims. And one of the things I really thought I would like to get into is fraud in both insurance and in cargo claims. What can you tell us? For one, is it on the increase at the moment? Decreasing? Stable?
One thing just to point out, which I think is really important to start with, is fraud has always been around. I think since cargo's moved from A to B, like, this isn't a new risk, but the risk has evolved and certain factors have caused it to evolve. My personal opinion on it is that I'm pretty sure that COVID played a pretty big part in the increase in fraud, because a lot of transactions when it came to moving cargo started to be done from behind a computer. And it got very easy for people to kind of intercept loads, kind of create freight profiles, because that was the way business was done for a period of time. And we're coming out of that. And I think that a lot of companies have wised up to it. It's still definitely on the increase. Certain commodities, for example, are kind of sought after than a lot of others. For example, food is usually kind of sought after. Electronics is a big one. Actually, those are probably the two big ones. Not to say that they're the only ones, but like, you'll find that a lot of companies that track this sort of data talk about increases in food and also the electronics. I mean, they're easy ones to target, and there's usually a black market like shopping order for these things. Like, if people think that fraud is kind of random, like it's just like, oh, like this guy decided that this load on this day was the one that was going to get it's not really how it works. These guys are very smart, very organized, and they usually go into these things thinking, we need to steal X amount of phones or laptops. Where can we go to those like load boards that might have those sort of commodities?
It's almost like the thieves have a pre-made shopping list of products that they're looking for, because behind the scenes, they already have buyers lined up. So it's just a matter of finding the right product.
100%. And it's like, yeah, like when this stuff is stolen, they're going to the destination that they were ordered to do it, right? It's not like they're waiting on the side of the road calling their mates being like, hey, I've got this. It's very organized.
A good savvy person, it wouldn't be hard to follow the product, between knowing the distribution centers, the warehouses that those products are at, and then monitoring the carriers that come and do, just sitting out in front of a distribution warehouse and doing your surveillance for a couple of days just to see what's going on. And then, I think one of the things we've heard before is you've got identity theft, which plays into it. And I don't think companies do enough, and I might be getting ahead here. Don't scold me too badly, but I don't think companies are doing enough with their drivers to train them on how to keep your mouth shut and don't talk about what the freight is you're hauling. Don't be gabbing to somebody at the truck stop, and other people can overhear you.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some of that. Like, we need to be a little bit more street smart, is the way I'd put it about this thing. Like, everyone's
Yep,
out to
yep.
get everyone. So why increase your liability by just talking about stuff that is going to make you a target at the end
Right.
of the day?
It's none of anybody's business.
Nope. But you've raised an interesting point too about like impersonating other like legitimate carriers and stuff. I've been speaking to a few like people who have experienced this, and it's these fraudsters and these bad actors are going around like buying like login details for their kind of government kind of approved profile and everything like that. And these truckers, yeah, I mean, they're just buying them for tens of thousands of dollars or whatever they bid for them for. And yeah, so you got a legitimate carrier who's now passed his details on for a bit of money. He sets up a new company, none the wiser. And that kind of needs to be more regulated, isn't the word, but it just needs people need to be aware of it. But people are catching on because there are companies that track these things, and changes of ownership is definitely one of those key or performance indicators that kind of you need to look at and see like, hey, are we dealing with the same people? And obvious ones as well as just changing phone numbers and details, just being very aware of when the whole profile changes internally. Fraud is going to be there forever. We're never going to nip it in the bud completely. We're just going to have to combat it every single time.
I know from my perspective, I was on the company side, the insurance side for a long period of time, and I've just recently jumped over the brokerage side. And it's something I've always done with clientele is making that relationship with a last minute carrier to the last minute on a Friday, right? Think about who you might want to work with down the road and set that relationship up now. Get those credentials, take the time to look into those credentials, do your background searching of those carriers. Don't post the load and then take the guy who you've never met or heard from before at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and go, well, I got nobody. I guess I'll give you the load.
Yeah. And then again, you've hit another really good point, I think, which is like, I think when fraud happens, it happens when people are in a hurry. It's never something that people are just like, oh, yeah, like we're going to use you in 3 weeks. Like, it's always like, oh, it needs to be done now. It needs to be done quickly. And the person who's booking the load probably is like, I need to get this done. Otherwise, I'm going to get in trouble. And so they're just doing what they need to do to kind of do the job. So I think you're right. I think to combat this sort of stuff, level heads needs to prevail. There needs to be kind of like, all right, we'll choose this carrier, and then maybe a re-review kind of, I don't know, down the line, just being like, do we really want to use this carrier for this load? And another thing that comes up with fraud is when you're booking loads with these carriers, making sure that the commodity, like if you're going to give a new carrier like a $600,000 load, like, is that really the right thing to do? Like maybe give them something a little smaller just to test them out. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that $25,000 worth of dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The load of the new iPhones may not be the one you would choose for the first trial.
Right.
Exactly. Like, I think because I think to combat fraud, it is just a bit of common sense and a bit of level-headedness. But like I said, these bad actors, they're evolving. Like if we start doing something, they're going to be combating that and doing what they can to kind of get involved. But we can make their life difficult by just slowing down the process a little bit. But unfortunately, transport isn't about being the transporting. So yeah.
I'll share a quick example. I was just out to see a client last week, and we were talking about if he brokers freight through his company to other carriers. He goes, no, did that once, got burned badly. So he now has a rule that we do not broker any freight to anybody, whether it be a carrier, broker, whatever. And what they've done is if they get into a jam, they call the customer and say, we're not able to handle the load because of this, or this. If you want, you are welcome to take the load back. You can give it to whoever you want. Or if you'll wait till tomorrow, I will have the truck available. We'll get it picked up tomorrow or the Monday or whatever it be. And he says his communication with his clients has very clearly set the margin that they're going, we're not interested in taking the risk of dealing with somebody we don't know. We would rather stall the load for a day. We know you can take care of it. So
Yeah, I mean, like you again raising some interesting ideas because like I really do feel for new carriers wanting to come into the industry, like new truckers. Like I don't know through my experience, but I imagine it to be very difficult to get established as a new
yes.
trucker, and the hoops they must jump through. Like, yeah, I mean that's going to be a real problem, I think. So there's not enough trucks as it is to kind of
Nope.
deliver all the cargo. So I'd be very interested to see how the industry handles that with like up and coming truckers trying to get into the industry and just establish themselves.
The new trucking companies typically start on load boards. That's where they start because there's no customer direct relationship built yet. So they need the load board to start out, But we've talked a little bit about how to prevent fraud. Do you have any other suggestions? One of the things that came to my mind while you were talking is just going on the internet. You mentioned changing of phone numbers. I
Mhm.
heard that one of the ways that they're doing it is they're buying existing DOT numbers,
Mhm.
especially if it's old and not being used. So now all of a sudden, as you said, if that phone number changed, that would be a red flag. Are there other ways?
There are other ways, and it's just properly looking at the information that's being provided. So, like an example that I've seen before, just handling claims is someone says, "Oh, they stole the load. Here's what they gave us," and you're looking at it and you're like, "Oh, this driver's license expired 6 years ago. Like, did this did you guys not catch this?" And they're like, "Oh, no, we didn't really look at it." And it's like they're handing you documents and information that seem legitimate and seem part of the process, but just double checking that they are there for that load, making sure that all reference numbers are absolutely correct. I've seen a lot of bills of lading that look very identical to originals, but there's usually a different reference, like an internal reference number that they haven't been managed to copy. And it's like, well, did you guys check your own internal reference number with this? And it's like, oh, no. So again, I think it goes back to that idea of just slowing down, like looking at everything, double checking that this is a legitimate person that showed up, and but properly looking, like just glancing at a driver's license, being like, oh, he's got tick the box. Oh, he's got a bill of lading, tick the box. Oh, he's got a truck, tick the box. Let's give him the load.
He's got a truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the other important things that you're looking for when handling those claims?
Not just with fraud claims, but just insurance claims in general. There is a lack of education in understanding the claims process. And this is, I think, just because insurance is a very uninteresting and uninspiring kind of little industry. But there's a lot of like hand holding that goes into a claims process. And then like during it, like, your adjuster should be kind of very clear with their communication about what they need and how they need it. But also you like they're gonna ask the same questions every time. Like a cargo claim doesn't change one week to another. Like, it's the same documents. If it's your first one, okay, like use this as a learning experience. But if you have another claim, if you have another fraud claim, you're going to get the same questions from the adjuster. So maybe prepare that stuff in advance.
Make a checklist.
Yeah. Like use the adjuster's checklist for your own internal purposes. Like, and just be like, they're going to need this. This is what we kind of need to do. So I think there needs to be a little bit more of that. But that comes, unfortunately, with just engaging with insurance claims. And like I said, I understand that when you're working with a company, your insurance claim is not the most entertaining and enticing thing, but it is important because it protects your company. And process can educate you on how to better protect yourself, especially with fraud. If you're being asked certain questions, being like, why aren't we asking those questions internally? Maybe we should. And taking notes of that. I think there definitely needs to be a little bit more of that going on. And the other thing is some of the like kind of challenges is the expectation for insurance to basically handle everything. Like insurance isn't there to, oh, you've got a claim now, they're going to run my company and handle this claim. Like, no, like you still need to be part of the process. You have the relationships. So leverage those, try and get the information the adjuster's after that you want to know yourself, hopefully, because by getting the answers, you're going to be a little bit more aware. And just, yeah, setting that expectation that just because you handle a claim and it's not necessarily going to be paid, it is going to be a process. You are going to have to answer some questions. And the insurance isn't just then going to just take over and be kind of like if a load gets rejected by the consignee, like the insurance company isn't going to find a new buyer or isn't going to really contact the shipper and be like, hey, we need you to take this back. Like that's kind of something that you need to do yourself. Like we're there to help you. Like we can help draft emails, we can help draft communications that kind of will hopefully get a good result. But the action of doing some of these stuff does need to be done through the policyholder and the insurance themselves.
If I can throw in there, I think also your broker or insurance agent can be a great assistance to the whole process because they've been involved. Well, if you've got an experienced one, they've been involved already in probably hundreds of claims and they are experienced and they can help a lot on that.
Yep. No, 100%. That's a great thing to bring up. And so, yeah, brokers and agents are a great resource, especially if possibly you don't necessarily trust your insurance company because brokers and agents are working on your behalf. And also, I'm not sure if people are kind of aware of this when they pay their premium and the commissions go to these people. Like part of their job is to help you with your insurance claims as they come through. Their job isn't just to get you insurance. They're there as a resource for you throughout your policy term until you decide to change broker or anything like that.
Now, you brought up, you said it, but I'm going to jump on it because if I am insured and I don't trust my insurance company, I've got a big problem
100%.
because it like really, if you don't trust your insurance company, get a different insurer, get in bed with somebody that you can trust because I mean, you're a for-profit company. I'm a for-profit company. Johnny works for a broker now. We got to be careful what we say there.
It's all about profit.
You know, like profit's not a bad word is what I'm trying to say. Like we got to do it the right way. God, it sounds like I'm really religious.
No, I know what you're trying to say. I think you're trying to say it's all got to be in good faith. It's
Right.
kind of
Okay.
yeah.
See, get these insurance guys. They can speak the lingo. Faith.
Yeah.
That's the correct word.
So one of the things we were talking about before off camera, and you know we've touched on the fraudulent aspect of it and whatnot, but when it comes down to litigation time, how much are you involved in the litigation aspect? What are you seeing in that approach when you're having to deal with these claims? And, you know, what kind of outcomes, or do you see any direction as how certain claims are going certain ways?
Yeah. So here in America, it's a very litigious market. Like you must be prepared to be litigated against, and if you are, it's not a reflection on how you've handled things. It's not. It's just unfortunately how some of the process is. And when it comes to litigation, definitely get your insurer involved as soon as you receive it, hopefully before, but like don't try and handle this yourself. Like this is definitely something the insurance needs to be engaged in. And what I do is kind of help insurers with strategy for litigation. I'm not a lawyer and don't pretend to be, but we can appoint the right experts to, or the right lawyer that we need for the to defend the liability. And we kind of look at the approach taken by the plaintiffs. And when it comes to litigation management, it's definitely a matter of understanding the specifics of the claim. So being forthcoming with your insurance company with information is very important. If you hide things, you're just going to like harm your own defense. You need to be forthcoming with this stuff. And you also need to understand that when a litigation happens, your insurance company 9 times out of 10 is going to want to get out of it. So they're going to look to try and make a settlement based usually on legal costs that they project. But a lot of the times, actually, some of the challenges is that we have an insured who has taken a claim very personally. So they're like, oh, no, I don't want to pay this. Just defend my liability. They get sued. They're like, no, I want to drag this out in court until like we get the judgment. 99% of the time, these things don't go to trial. These things don't go like it's usually there's a mediation and a quick settlement, and a settlement will be had based upon the merits of. Unfortunately, that does mean, though, that the higher quantum of claim, the more likely litigation is going to happen. So if I see a claim that's in six figures and it's looking like the liability is in the gray, or not even the gray, it's just that there's just no liability. Like we've just determined there's no liability. There's still probably a 50% chance you're going to get litigated against.
Yeah.
And you just got to accept it. You've just got to all right, we'll see how this goes, come up with a strategy, see what the insurer wants to do, and try and resolve it amicably as best we can. And luckily, we've been pretty successful with that.
Liam, can you repeat that? Because I think that is a highlight. Well, even when the liability is either gray or not against you, what do you think the percentage chance of getting sued is?
Probably about 50% with if the quantum's high enough. And I'm just saying anything really over six figures. Like if a claim comes in day one over six figures and I look at it, my initial assessment is I don't think there's liability here. Still got to collect some stuff and find that out. But I'm always kind of thinking, we got to factor in we might get litigated against simply because someone's going to go to a lawyer. Lawyer's going to know, like the plaintiff strategy is just let's sue, let's try and get something. Most of the time, the strategy is usually based upon the projected legal costs if there's no liability. But then again, it all depends on the insurer. I have some clients very stubborn. They will fight. Or they will fight a little bit. They don't want to be seen as pushovers, and no insurance company does. My advice to insurers, though, is just remembering that it is part of the process with this stuff. It's not a reflection on you. It's not something to be afraid of. Your insurance company is there to help you with these situations, and they will help you. That's why you should get insurance for this sort of stuff. But again, same with fraud. Just approaching it level-headedly. Hopefully you trust your insurance that they're going to handle it and work with them. Try and get the result that you want as much as your insurance company.
I talk with clients a lot about that you specialize in a service of transporting product from A to B. That's your specialty. You do not specialize in handling claims. That's what insurance companies and adjusters do. Let them do their job. So, and you'd said it early on, you need to engage them right away. Even before police are involved, sometimes it's a matter of letting your insurance providers know, hey, I've just had this situation. Cargo was stolen out of the yard. Equipment was stolen out of the yard. We were involved in a crash. Doesn't matter, but engage your team now. Don't try to do this yourself because it'll just cost you more money.
Yeah, 100%. Especially the amount of times I get just litigation. That's the first email I get on a claim. It's just like, oh, you mean litigating? Oh, it was 10 months ago. What's the insurer? And so, do you guys have any statement from 10 months ago? And they're like, oh, what? 10? You don't remember what I wore that day? And you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that driver doesn't work here anymore. Yeah, we sold that truck. And we don't even have that customer anymore. So, yeah.
Let me ask you an unscripted question. Because it just popped into my head. Going back to my insurance days and food claims, a broken seal.
Mm-hmm.
In my world, we had a fella jump the fence and he broke several seals on trailers until he found the trailer he wanted to steal. And he stole that, and that was a claim. But one of the other claims was one of the seals he broke had a load of food on it. Now, of course, the receiver doesn't want to accept it because the seal was broken, the door was open, potentially that could have been contaminated. How does that come into insurance? Because a broken seal seems really minor.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question and something that I think any adjuster who deals in transportation will have dealt with. And it's one of those things where the first thing you should probably look at is your contractual liability with your customer. Because if there is a broken seal clause that kind of says if a seal is broken in any way, in any manner, you are liable for the whole thing, then that's clear cut. Like you can't really do anything about that sort of thing.
Read your contracts.
Yes, they are important, believe it or not.
Share your contracts with your insurer so they know what they're up against.
Yeah. And actually, I'll just point out, just follow up on that, because a lot of insurance policies I see actually have a contracts clause that basically say if you don't give these contracts to your insurer to approve, then they don't assume the liability. So when you get new contracts throughout the year, always talk to your insurance company and just say, hey, got a new customer, here's the contract. We want to make sure that this is insured. But going back to the broken seals thing, so look at the contract. So when you talk about food and stuff like that, I think it really depends on what exactly is being transported. If it's like berries that are in kind of just like plastic containers, I think, and because of the regulations around food and the standard it needs to be, like, unfortunately, for insurance companies, it's looking like they'll have to pay. But they accept that. I think at the end of the day, it's like they're going to try and mitigate the loss, which is always a very important process. So there's usually, if you get your insurer, tell them about the broken seal with the original customer, they've rejected the whole shipment, then they can help salvage it. You or yourself might be able to sell it at a reduced price. Like, actually, there's a claim I'm dealing with at the moment where it kind of is exactly a broken seal. Nothing was wrong with it. It was just a broken seal. But what it was being used for, which was baby formula, like, you're like, oh, well, we're not going to mess with that. Like, we're not going to sort of thing. But hey, the insured is very due diligent. He managed to find a secondhand buyer, so they got to reduce. It's not a complete total loss. They managed to find someone else who the requirements weren't as strict, but they could still use it. Then you can kind of claim. Usually, the claim is based then on the difference between the salvage sale and what you kind of would have got. I'm not saying it happens every time, but that's kind of usually how it happens. And with the broken seal stuff, it's speed is usually required. You need to kind of inform your customer straight away. If they're saying we don't want it anymore, start talking internally. What are we doing with this? Are we just going to claim a total loss? Oh, okay, well, your premium's going to go up if you do that.
Yep.
Can we sell it to anyone, even donate it or anything like that? But I would always look at your insurance policy, and I will also say this too. Your insurance policy, like, I think a lot of people will probably not like me for this, but it is 100% negotiable. If you don't like one insurer's wording, you go to another insurer. If you want, for example, broken seal coverage, but it's not offered, talk to your broker. Be like, hey, I want a cargo policy, but I also want to be able to have broken seal coverage where I decide kind of what happens.
Endorsements can be put into play. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay, Liam, it's funny story time. Okay. So I'm going to tell you about a funny claim, and I want you to see if you got one to tell us, because this ties in perfect with exactly what you're talking about. Dealt with a client here late last year who had a $75,000 cargo loss.
Mhm.
What had happened was the driver was hauling a truckload of peanut butter, and some of the skids were double stacked, and he had a hard brake application. It was recorded on his telematics device. It was recorded in the dash camera. Wasn't the driver's fault. However, the driver had heard something in the trailer behind him. So he thought, uh-oh, one of the skids is tipped over. So he gets pulled over to rest area. He breaks the seal, gets into the trailer, starts moving boxes to restack the boxes so it doesn't look so bad. Okay, so tears down a couple of skids. Gets back in the truck, puts the seal back on broken, just lets it hang, gets to the receiver. And here's the funny part. He wasn't far from the receiver when this happened. Gets to the receiver, shows up, and they say, okay, we'll come out and we'll take the seal off so you can back in the door. Oh, no, I've already done that. Here you go. Here, I already broke the seal off. Well, no, we have a policy that we do it. Oh, well, I had to break it because I had some the boxes moved and I had to fix them and whatnot. So here's the seal. Oh, is that real? Okay, guess what? We're not taking the load. We don't want the load because we break the seal. He failed to even call his dispatch to tell them that he'd had this concern with the load it being shifted, because they would have said, just go to the receiver and let them deal with it and go from there. Needless to say, this load was taken from Toronto to Florida to be delivered, and had this claim. They brought it back all the way to Michigan, because here's the funny part. It was food. They couldn't bring it back into Canada because the customer or the shipper would not accept the load. So they brought it back to Michigan, where they sold it to a food bank for $5,000. So they lost $70,000, and the insurer decided to go, stupidity. I'm sorry. We're denying the claim. You're paying it out of pocket. So, yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely two lessons to learn there. One is always talk to your broker and customer whenever you want to break a seal. Even, like, it's not to say that you can't, it's just get
No.
permission first. Just say, hey, I need to just break the seal just to make sure that the thing's good. And two, involve your insurance when you're trying to go through that process. Because yeah, if an insurance company gets a claim and they're like, "Oh, I sold it for $5,000," and and they're like, "Well, was it damaged?" Like, there's yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's kind of funny.
All right.
Mine is
I would have stopped at every rest area on the way home and tried to sell it out of the back of the trailer to all the people stop it. Hey, want a jar of peanut butter? I got some peanut butter.
you made the rest.
Liam,
Yeah,
but you have a story that you can share with us, a humorous claim story.
So I have a story, like a situation that came across my desk, which was definitely one that you just kind of like chuckle at. But so it was a trucker in the US. He was delivering blackberries, and it was only blackberries. There were, I think, like 6 pallets, kind of packed quite high, and what happened was he arrived at the consignee and the berries were everywhere. Like, he opened the trailer, they were just everywhere over the thing. And during the investigation, it was like, "Oh, like did you pack and prep this?" Like, no, it was all the shipper. They put it in, and and I looked at it. I said, "Oh, I was thinking." I didn't say, I was thinking, "Oh, like this isn't quite right. This isn't really going to work." But they've done it. Like, I'm just going to deliver this. And so instead of kind of advising the shipper, like, this needs to be braced, or maybe we need to like not stack these berries, maybe we put them all on the single level, which he knew the answer but didn't say anything. And then yeah, when he arrived at the consignee, it was just like berry juice in the back of his car. It's just these berries. And then he's blaming everyone, saying it's not his fault because he didn't do it. But mate, sorry, like,
You did steer the load.
yeah, you're the expert. If you don't, if you're not comfortable with how it was loaded, how it was prepared, and how it was put in your truck, you need to say so. Don't just think it. Don't just think, "Oh, idiot, he did it." Like, you need to be aware of this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just to wrap that one up, you don't know the loader. What experience does this person have? Maybe he's a new part-time employee or just a brand new employee. This is his first job. He doesn't know anything. Or maybe he's just a lazy SOB and stacked the skids up because that was easy for him to do and load the trailer that way. And hey, this truck driver didn't say shit or didn't say stuff. You know, like, hey, him. That's a great way to wrap up the show, I think. Liam Richards, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, especially talking about the fraud and the last few minutes about the humor. Thanks so much for having on the show.
No worries. Thank you both, and yeah, wish you all the best as more guests come on. It was really fun.
Liam, as always, thank you so much for coming on the show. And for you, the listeners and viewers, we have Liam's contact info is in the show notes down below. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to share this podcast with somebody who would benefit and click like and subscribe. All the best. Chris, I'll see you next week.